Hello, I'm Dr. Deon Turner, Head of Programming and Outreach for the Georgetown County Library System, and we're so glad to have all you folks out here, these gracious smiling faces with us here at our wonderful, new, beautiful Southern Georgetown Library. So wonderful to have you here and have it getting some good news today. And we say thank you as always to our host out here, our branch manager, Cherie Drayton. And we're also thankful for our director, our library system director, Dwight McInville, who's here with us today in the audience, and our associate director, Trudy Bazemore, who's with us today as well. So thank them for all their support of this series and all our programs. So welcome to Digibridge 2.0, a series of 12 humanities lectures by local experts on various elements of Georgetown County's deep, diverse history and culture. All presentations are free and open to the public. During March, we've been here at Southern Georgetown. This will be the fourth and final presentation here, so we're going out with a bang, not with a whimper, but with a bang here. With a wonderful presenter and presentation lined up for you. After this, next Wednesday at 2 p.m., we'll transfer over to our Carver's Bay branch out on Choppy Road in Hemingway, and we'll do that through the month of April. Then in the month of May, Wednesdays at 2 p.m., please join us for more exciting presentations out at Andrews, our Andrews Library, right there on North Morgan Avenue, downtown Andrews. All 12 presentations will also be available online afterwards. So if you want to review the material, or if you're seeing this for the first time, check it out on the Georgetown County Library YouTube page. The Digibridge 2.0 series is supported with a generous growth grant from South Carolina Humanities, with funding provided by the National Endowment for the Humanities. South Carolina Humanities is a not-for-profit organization inspiring, engaging, and enriching South Carolinians with programs on literature, history, culture, and heritage. And here we are almost at the tail end of March, and we've got a wonderful presentation. Our presenter, Deon D.K. Turner, he's many things, as we'll see. One thing, he is a graduate of USC Aiken, which has some excellent faculty and courses a little ways off from here in Georgetown County, but a great institution where he was a fine arts major, but he studied acting primarily, and I think they developed a major in acting after that, or a concentration, thanks in large part to D.K. Turner. He did a lot of acting there, and he's still acting. He's done 3 shows at the famous Trustis Theater up in Columbia. He's got a 4th show coming up there. And he's also done some other theater around the state in Sumter for the Little Theater there. And he's doing film as well, the wonderful Reconstruction 360 project for SCETV. Check that out and you'll see our presenter today on film up there, D.K. Turner. We have him here in a different capacity. While he was studying at USC Aiken, he also took a photography class, and that inspired in him a whole new career path, a hobby that became a career path. He has a real vision as a photographic artist, and that's kind of what he does. That's his day job, I guess. So he is a photographic artist, and you should really check out his website and his Facebook page. The portraits, they're not your typical portraits. They break out of the usual forms. In his photographs, his subjects take on individual character and voice, his images help tell their stories, so they really come to life. And recently, DK took his unique photographer's eye, that vision, on a transformative journey to Sierra Leone. And he's here today to share some of those many insights that he discovered there. So please help me welcome in Deon DK Turner.
Thank you so much, Dr. Turner, for that wonderful introduction. Makes me sound pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who was involved in the process of having me come present. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for spending some time out of the afternoon to come check me out. Thank you so much. So grateful you're here. And hopefully you enjoy what I have to say. So, originally, I was nervous. I was nervous because I felt like I had to come and have this perfect narrative scripted out and tell this amazing story, and it was overwhelming me a little bit because I felt like it wasn't genuine. So I just wanted to come and share with you all my experience in Sierra Leone, being a descendant from Sierra Leone. So that's why the title is Going Home to Sierra Leone. Now, when most people think about going home, you think about driving down the street, right? Catching an Uber maybe, going on the interstate, dealing with traffic, maybe walking if it's close enough. But for me, going home was a little more complicated. So I had to jump on 2 airplanes. Now mind you, this was my first time, yeah, there you go. Not gonna tell yet, not yet. I had to jump on 2 airplanes. Now mind you, this was my first time ever flying on a plane. My first time being on a plane, I flew from Atlanta, Georgia to Paris, France. First time. And that was a journey in itself. Before I got to Africa, I already had my own journey trying to get there. So as you all can see, I'm very tall. In my first airplane seat, I was in the middle of 2 people. It was torture. I didn't think I would make it. I wanted to cry, I wanted to scream. But the young lady next to me, she saw my pain and she switched with me. So I was able to have the aisle seat. So that made it a little better. So the first trip was from Atlanta, Georgia to Paris, France. And we had a layover in Paris for, I believe, 4 hours. 4 hours. So that was cool. Just kind of walk around the airport. Checking out the euros and learning how that works and seeing how expensive things are, just for a bag of chips and a sandwich. So that was cool, and then we got on the plane again, my second plane ride ever, from Paris, France to Sierra Leone, West Africa. I don't remember the exact hours, but it was a lot. It was a lot of hours, and the time jump, we were like 6 hours ahead of a mix, so it was a weird jet lag type of thing. This was all my first experience ever. So by the time I got off the plane, I was so overwhelmed by the journey that it took me a minute to process, wait a minute, I'm in Africa, like right now. Like I am on the ground in Africa. So that first experience, once I finally got over my plane stuff, just looking around and realizing I am back home, it was a beautiful moment. And internally, that's when the gears started grinding from that first day. So this was our first hotel. What I didn't mention is that we had to, of course, have to get the yellow fever shot in order to go. Because of the mosquito problems there, we had to take medication for malaria. If you get bit by a mosquito here, it's like, okay, it's more so aggravation. But us getting bit there could have been more dangerous. So we had to take the safety precautions. So that's why when we walked into our hotel room and I saw this, I'm like, what's that? So that was to, protect us from mosquitoes that may have come in overnight so we wouldn't get bit. So it was kind of like a culture shock. Everything was so different. But if you look over at the other pictures, it was just so beautiful. It's like the wallpapers that you see on your phone, on the laptops, the screensavers, that was everywhere. You go outside and you're just like, oh my goodness, this is paradise. Just the nature and the way the leaves grow on the trees and how there's no limitations to the nature. Everything's just overflowing. It's just, there's not people out there, trying to trim it up or, the type of thing we do here. Everything was just overflowing. It's just a rush of nature. We kind of felt in tune with the world. I know that sounds really corny, but that's the way I felt. I just felt like I was in tune with everything around me. It was beautiful. So our second hotel was okay. It wasn't as nice, but it was okay. We had a lot of, mix-up and communication issues, so we had to kind of get in some rooms last minute. But what it made me think of was when you have issues here in the States with the hotel and you go downstairs to the front desk and you try to get things resolved, it was the same situation there, but it's 50 of us all trying to get our room situated. So there were a lot of things that were happening during the trip that kind of paralleled how we do things here. Just a little more complicated over there. So that was my hotel room, the second hotel. It was pretty cool. Didn't sleep that well that night, but it was okay. So our third hotel, some more of an upgrade, okay? It was kind of like a resort, almost like a resort you would see in Florida, which is part of that low country corridor. A lot of these things, like I say, the parallels. You had like a pool area where you go in the pool. It was like these condos or like townhomes that kind of ran up and down across from each other. So that was our third hotel. Really nice. We had a nice lounge area where we ate food. It was a really nice experience. Now the last hotel, this was more American. So this is what we were waiting on. Oh yeah. So this is what we were waiting on. All of the stresses, all of the troubles we went through led to this moment. When I walked in this hotel room, I said, okay, yeah, I like it. This hotel was beautiful. It was called the Golden Tulip, and the customer service out of this world. They treated us all like royalty. The food, oh my goodness. I think I'll talk about that soon. The food was amazing. We had these large spreads of food every night. We had performances. There were, events going on around the city. This hotel was 10 out of 10. I recommend. Now I know where to go next time I go to Sierra Leone. So as I mentioned, the food. We ate a lot. I think I actually ate too much because since the food is so much more natural, I almost didn't feel full, if that makes sense. It was so clean, and I just wanted to keep eating. And I suffered later when I got back home, but during the trip, I ate a lot. West Africa is heavily known for its rice. So this particular night, it was a rice buffet. So that's why you see 3 different rice dishes on my plate. I ate a lot of rice that night. A lot of chicken. This on the side is called cassava leaf. And the way I describe it is kind of like collard greens with fish in it. And I ate a lot of that, and that might be why I was sick. But it was so good, and they just kept feeding us. And the food is also very spicy too, and it makes me think about the Cajun style foods we eat here. And it was just good. It was good for the time. So the big thing that I learned a lot is that money makes a difference no matter where you are. Money was very important. And the good thing for us is that the American dollar has a lot of value in Sierra Leone. So we were basically millionaires. We could take 200 American dollars, and that would be like 2 million leones. So it was different, having the status of having money, right? It kind of made you think about things differently, which we don't usually think about over here because we might not have $2 million just in our pocket. So money played a big role, and I learned that no matter where you are, money is important. Which goes into something else that I noticed. about Sierra Leone and its people, the spirit of entrepreneurship. So no matter where you looked, no matter where you went, somebody was doing something and they wanted to sell you something. They had value, and there was something valuable in what they did, or what they could create, or what they could make, and they sold it. And you know, as a fellow entrepreneur over here in the States, that spirit, that grind, that hustle, that this is what I have to bring to the table, I could relate to that. And it was amazing just seeing different people with that spirit. The children even, they would go to a bush and take some leaves off and make a bracelet. Boom, that's their value. This is what I do. I make bracelets, I make fans, I make baskets. And that just blew my mind. It was amazing to me how at such a young age, they were already proactive, already doing something constructive, already knew, you know, this is what I can do and I'm gonna do the best I can. It was very beautiful. Which takes us into sweetgrass baskets, which are very popular over here, but it was amazing seeing them make them in person, in the village, just seeing it in action. Babies starting young, at a young age, learning from their mothers or aunties or grandmothers or older sisters, sitting down and just mastering the craft of basket weaving and the different varieties that come from it, the different things you can make. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch, and I took a lot of pictures of them just at work. And this next slide is just a few more examples of the different things they made for us. And some of this stuff was made right before our eyes. They were started, and we were watching. We might wander off and come back, and it's finished. And I mean, just young kids doing this stuff just so efficiently. It's like a mastery to it, and it's like, wow, you know, if I was 7 or 8 and had something that I was a master at, I can only imagine how I would be at it now, at 25, right? So it was beautiful to watch. And this quote is actually what this young man said. He said, "This is what I do." And that's what he does every day. He was making different like bags, fans. I think he had a brother who was on the other side. I think he was making like some type of like blanket style material. So it's a lot of things that you can make from the sweetgrass. And they were just doing it. They were just doing it. And it was just so awesome to watch. And this is just a few more examples of the different things they made. My grandmother, Veronica Gerald, she came to the trip with me, and this young lady actually made her a fan at the last minute because she was giving out different fans. People were buying fans, and my grandmother wanted one, and she said, "Don't leave, just stay there, don't leave." And we were sitting on the bus, and I kid you not, about 10 minutes later, she came back with a fan, and she made just for her. Just for her. So it was beautiful just watching them at work, and just the mastery of it. It was awesome to watch. So we had one of the guests who came on the trip with us, Nakia Wigfall. She's actually a master at basket weaving over here in the States. And the beautiful thing about this moment, and this is Nakia right here, the beautiful thing about this moment is she got to sit down with their master basket weavers and exchange knowledge and techniques and tricks on how they do it. And it's crazy because she would say, "Wow, they do it just like my grandmother did it." Or "They do it just like my auntie used to do it." Or "I do it this way, but they do it this way," which makes it easier. So they were learning from each other. And we were in this particular village for hours. And I kid you not, Nakia sat with them for easily 2 hours, just exchanging knowledge. They were making baskets together. It was a beautiful moment, and I can only imagine how she felt inside, just seeing the foundation of it right there, and being able to talk with them and learn from them. It was beautiful. So that's just a few more pictures that I took of that. Now, for this next slide, I forgot a word. I meant to, oh, wait, not the kids yet. I meant to put making rice edible. So what they were doing is, the grains of rice have a protective coating over them. And they put the rice in this stone-like mortar, and they grab these sticks, and what they're doing is they're dehulling the rice, so they're crushing the protective seal, so the rice can be edible. So watching them do this was amazing, and I actually tried it. I thought it was easy. I wasn't that good at it because there is a certain technique to it. There's a flow, there's a rhythm to it. And just watching like these kids out there, and they're just going at it. It's just, second nature. And I'm trying it, they're laughing at me, I'm doing it all awkward, and they were showing me the right way to do it. But just seeing them do this in that, traditional way. Now we have machines and all, possibly robots that can do this stuff for us. But just watching them do this that traditional, old-fashioned way, it was just beautiful. So now, my favorite part of the trip, the highlight of the trip, the kids. The kids were, it's hard to describe it. The beauty, the purity, the excitement, the happiness that these kids showed, it was just a joy for me to photograph. So we saw this a lot, where the babies are being carried by a mother, a grandmother, an auntie, an older sister, and so easy. They wrap these babies to them effortlessly, and they just go about the village, and the baby is secure, and the baby's just sitting there, just as comfortable as ever. And it's just amazing. I mean, I would see, little girls, holding their little sisters on their back, and it's no struggle. And it's just that innovation, and as my grandmother would say, we are make-do people. We make do, and it's just seeing it in person, it was beautiful. And the kids, they were just gorgeous. And they were, the perfect models. So there's a few more pictures of the kids. Yeah, they loved the camera. A lot of them, and you'll see in a minute, a lot of them were snap me, snap me, snap me. And they would pose for me, they would do different things, they would grab their friends, and it was amazing. It was beautiful, and I just kept snapping. I had to. I couldn't stop. At one point, I only took pictures of the kids. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. So another thing I noticed is, the different hairstyles that you'll see over here, the incorporation of color in the hair, the braids, the crochets, all these different styles that you see over here every day. They were rocking those same styles. The color in the clothing, the pop of color and how they express themselves. It's beautiful. I have a few more pictures of the children. Yeah, they love the camera. This guy right here, oh, he loved the camera. I have so many pictures of him. Everywhere I went, I would turn around and he was like, snap me, snap me. Oh man, it was perfect. But just the story in their eyes, the story that you captured in their eyes is, you can't make it up. You can't make it up. I just want to take pictures of them all day. It was beautiful. And I was so, tall to them. So it was like, they were amazed. At one point, I had some candy, and they all just like climbed on top of me trying to get the candy. So I was like a big tree, and they're just climbing on me. And it made me think about when I'm over here playing with my little cousins or something, and they're trying to climb on top of me. It's just funny, like this tall tree, and he has the candy, and I want to get to the candy. But they were my best friends. There's a few more pictures. Once again, my guy, he grabbed his friends and they all posed for this picture. It was so awesome. They were really cool. Told you I got a lot of pictures of the kids. Got a lot of pictures. The young men on the far left, they were dancing. So they were going in a circle, just doing this dance. And I was just capturing them. They were having so much fun. I mean, I couldn't stop shooting. Couldn't stop shooting. And a few more, you see again, the babies being carried. These guys on the left, they were actually working. They were, chopping down different things, and one of their friends called them over to get a picture taken, but they were working. They were at work. So I was glad they gave me some of their time, their precious time, and let me take a picture. As soon as I finished, they went right back to work. So that's just what they do. It was awesome. And I just love this picture. Just the story in her eyes is just beautiful. It's kind of mesmerizing in a way. And once again, the colors, the patterns, the fashion, everything is just a huge color palette. It was so bold. No dull colors. Now, my bodyguards. These guys, I remember his name was Timba. I don't remember his brother's name, but these guys, they looked out for me. Everywhere I went, they were right beside me, just making sure. They were telling some of the other kids, like, back off, you know. I mean, they had my back, At first it was just Timba, but then he went and got his brothers and needed some backup. And they were on both sides of me, just kind of just guarding me, hands crossed, making sure I was okay. He took us back deeper into the village to meet his father. He was so excited. He wanted us to meet him. We couldn't find his mom. She was somewhere. We couldn't find her. But he was determined for us to meet his family. He wanted to stay with me and my grandmother. He wanted to stay with us the whole time. And then he brought his brother, and they were my crew. I miss them. They were so much fun. But just the brotherhood, the brotherhood. So family, the emphasis on family. And more emphasis on color, fashion, the personality. Everything was so bold. Everything was so bold. No dull moments, no dull colors. Everybody had their own sense of expression. This particular moment, they were celebrating the fact that we were in their village. So they were doing like a chant and a dance and a song all throughout the village. So it's kind of like they guided us in and took us deeper and deeper into the village. And this easily took about an hour. And they're just dancing and singing and chanting for an hour. And we're just in the mix with them. I'm taking pictures, of course, tripping over myself, trying to get the pictures. It was beautiful, but just the variety of the color, I just was drawn to it. The way the sun, hit everyone's clothes and their skin, and it was just a beautiful moment to just see so many different personalities all together, celebrating us coming home. It was so beautiful. And this is just more of an emphasis on the color and the fashion. The scarves with the different patterns, the fabric, this particular woman, she was in her own world. So while we were, traveling as a group, she was off to the side, just doing her own thing, just unbothered, peaceful. And it's just, the color was everywhere. I couldn't stop seeing it. So many different color palettes. Even here, I had some people stop and pose. So this guy is super fashionable. He wanted me to get his picture. These two, I believe they are siblings, but they might have been a couple. Not sure. But they definitely wanted me to take a picture. They might not look like they want to take a picture, but they wanted that picture. They chose that area. They sat down by a green door. They did that. I didn't pose them. They sat right there in that spot, and they wanted that picture. And it was just a beautiful moment. My guy on the far left, he was super excited to get his picture taken. He was dancing. He was doing like flips, and he was doing all kinds of stuff. I couldn't keep up with it. He was moving so fast, but it was a lot of fun. So of course, the music. I feel like Sierra Leone had its own soundtrack, right? It was like everywhere we went, music was being created. It was heard. It was played. It was everywhere. The guys, how they have these handmade instruments, and they're just traveling with us. Remember that group I was talking about, where we're traveling through the village? They were traveling with us, just playing music, for hours on end, just playing music. And it was beautiful, just to see the brotherhood, and again, that mastery of this is what I do. This is what I've mastered. It was amazing, just the variety. A few more pictures of the music, the handmade instruments. It was really awesome. Which leads into something we know over here, street performers. So there were certain areas we visited where they would have a circle going, and in the middle of the circle, there would be performers doing different things, whether it be dancing or like these guys, they were doing these amazing flips. I'm talking like 2 or 3 flips in the air, like it's nothing. And I'm just like, whoa. And at one point, I was slow to take the picture because I was just amazed by how these guys could just do all these different things in midair. And it was just amazing watching them. And another thing I noticed, so recently I went to New York for some photography work, and the similarities to the street performers, so how that circle is formed, how they're dancing and they're clapping, and then there's somebody with the collection, going around, making sure you give them a little tip. They had the same thing. They had a little boy, and he was, as soon as you put that dollar down, he said, thank you. He was on it. So just the similarities, it's crazy. But these guys were great. I mean, our nerves, like seeing them in the air like that, it's like, ooh, okay, ooh, do it again, ooh, okay, close. But no fear, they were just doing it. And they loved putting on the show for us. And this was probably one of my favorite shots. Just capturing them. And as you can see, I mean, he's so close to the ground, just the ability to be able to pull his body up. Like, and I think the more they heard us respond, the more daring they would get. So they would hear us like, ooh, and they would do something even more daring. It was beautiful. So wow. Yeah, very, very cool stuff. A few more of those pictures. This guy was like the leader. So he was like the one blowing the whistle and kind of pacing the flips and things like that. So he was pretty cool. I'm just blessed I was able to get, these awesome shots. And these were the guys who were collecting the money. So they were playing, blowing their whistles and also making sure they get this and get that. So it was pretty cool. But just once again, going back to the eyes, the story in the eyes, the colors, how everything comes together is beautiful. So eventually, we finished our time in the villages, and we went downtown to Freetown, Sierra Leone, which is the capital of Sierra Leone. And this was just a wide shot I was able to get. We went to a mountaintop and looked down on Sierra Leone, and it was just so beautiful how vast it is, and how this was before we ever went into the city. So just all of our expectations and assumptions and what we might see just looking from above. It was very beautiful. So one thing that really stood out to me, or made me think about home, was the use of like skyscrapers, right? These really tall buildings, seeing the buildings in the process of being built. You see the wooden sticks and how they're all perfectly lined up and parallel to each other. Just seeing that process and just, how different it is, or how it, precedes what we do now, even. So it was just really awesome to watch. The busy city life. There are a lot of, like, mopeds and things like that, and they just zip through the city, I'm going and I'm going. I don't care if you're going too, I'm going. So it's just that, walking across the street, there's no button that you press so traffic stops for you. So walking across the street, you have to really time it to get across those busy streets. Had a few close calls because I'm so busy looking around. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm not gonna stop. Okay, cool. But it was really cool just being downtown, being in the city. There's a few more pictures down there. You had churches, different like hotels, skyscrapers again. It was really cool. And of course, something that we all know about, the gas station. Yeah, I was feeling good this morning until we had to stop and get gas. The gas station. I was just really fascinated by the gas stations there, just the life of it, how there was so much going on. There are people on the side selling snacks. So, instead of going in to get the snacks, they have the people outside the gas station selling you snacks. Different people had different ways of doing it. Some would have, carts full of different items. Some would have bags of plantains or stuff like that, ginger beer that they just made, and they're trying to sell it to you. It was a large group of us on 2 huge vans. So whenever they saw those vans pull up, they knew, okay, they're here. It's time. So they were just, they were ready. They were ready. They would pull out this stuff and they were ready. So just the gas station, it was amazing to me. Another thing that stood out were the use of advertisement. You got the Coca-Cola ad. You have the cell phone company ads, you're able to win a certain amount of money. We know about those type of things. You had promotions for concerts. There was a church conference commercial, banner for that. You have celebrity games where you vote to see who will win, kind of like American Idol. Yeah, that type of stuff. So there's a lot of similarities, just seeing as advertisements. It might not be as overloaded as it is here, but it's there, right? So that was interesting to me to see that. So it was pretty cool stuff. So a few more pictures, you can see all those bikes, and they were all grouped together, and they dominated the streets. They dominated the streets. I believe this beach was called Lumley Beach, I believe, or Lumley Beach. But it was just beautiful, beautiful. Seeing the women carry things so perfectly on their heads with grace and beauty, no struggle. I couldn't try it because all my stuff would be on the ground. But it was just beautiful. We were there for so long, I believe almost 2 weeks. So after a while, we kind of started getting used to things. So it was beautiful. And this is something else that reminded me of home. To the mall, and you have the sneakers on the wall. So that was pretty cool. Me and a few of the younger people, we went out and went to the little shops and the fashion shops, looking at the shirts and the shoes, the jewelry, that type of thing. And it's like going to the mall, going to Foot Locker or Champs or something. It was just that parallel to home. So, one of the biggest full circle moments for me, slightly before I went to Africa, I met a young lady by the name of Israel Samuels. And I did not know her backstory yet, but she's a model. And me being a photographer, I knew I wanted to work with her. Now, this was before I went to Africa. So, went to the trip, came back, and me and Israel, we kept doing collaborations, we kept shooting, and the more I shot her, the more I learned about her backstory. And I learned that she is actually from Liberia, West Africa, which borders Sierra Leone. So it was like a full circle moment, meeting a fellow West African in the States and being able to collaborate with her and make magic and create art, being from essentially the same area. So this is just a few pictures that we've done together. And she actually informed me, I told her she was going to be in the presentation, and she informed me that her grandmother is actually Sierra Leone. So it was a complete full circle moment, and to this day we continue to collaborate and make art together. There's just a few more pictures we've done. We've done a lot of shoots. This is like the greatest hits, but we've done at least over 50 photo shoots since 2019. So, and we just connect in that way. And it's just, like I said, a full circle moment. And I want to thank you all for watching me and being here with me. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for me?
Of course we do.
Yeah. Hey.
I happen to know that you're a photographer and actor.
Yes, sir.
And of course, seeing things through a different lens by being a photographer. What I want to know is, and you kind of hit on it in those last phrase, how has that affected your work?
Yes, great question. It affected my work immediately because as soon as I got back, I just felt this rush of inspiration. And more than anything, I felt more confidence in myself, which I didn't expect. I didn't see that happening. But there's something about going back to where you're from and you get that boost of, these are my people. This is who I am. I come from greatness. I come from excellence. I come from beauty. And what it did was it fueled me to believe in myself more. And that essentially changed my work forever. I feel more confident about my shoots. I feel more confident about my creative voice and vision. Things I struggled with before the trip, not really tapping into who I am. But being in Africa, being in Sierra Leone, it did something, it transformed me in a way. And I know that sounds, cliche.
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. But it really did, it jump-started my creativity. So, to this, and even with my acting, I also write scripts too, so even in the acting world, that confidence, that knowing that this is what I bring to the table, because this is where I come from. And it affects me to this day. To this day. Thank you. Any more questions? Any slides anybody wants to see again?
I would like to see these slides of the athletes.
Okay.
The one that you pointed out, that was a beautiful shot.
Yeah, they were, and I see some faces from the trip. They can, that's my grandmother. I see Miss Pat. But they can attest, those guys, they were doing those flips. It was amazing.
Well, what language? Did you speak English or
Creole.
Creole.
So, and my grandmother probably could help me out with that, but it's a mix of like the Gullah Geechee, and I'll let her, I don't want to put her on the spot, but she's more knowledgeable in those things than I am.
May I just interject?
Yes. Yes.
Veronica was the first person that came when I first became a library director here to do a presentation. Hello, Veronica.
That's my grandmother. I love her to death.
You got big shoes to step into.
I know. Okay, here we go.
I'll add to that Veronica Gerald, your grandmother, as well, just did, about a year ago, she did a presentation, she's done many. She's a great friend of the library, but on foodways, on Gullah foodways,
Yes.
which is up on the Georgetown County Library YouTube page. So you
Nice.
y'all can go and check out Grandma's
Yeah.
take on things, and then see how grandson does. Hear them out. They're pretty good, pretty smart family.
You said you had some exhibits of your photos from your trip? Or?
Not yet. It's in the works.
Yes, we're late. But I'd like to see some of the residential areas if it's not too far for you to go back.
Okay.
Where they live.
Gotcha. Any more questions while I get back to that slide?
Talk more about the rice.
The rice,
You hit home when you talked about the
the
rice.
rice, yeah, I love rice, and I understand why now. And so now my girl's here, she can relate. So she was with me when we saw them de-hulling the rice.
Yes.
And just I was telling them how like the rhythm of it and how there's like a flow to it, and how I believe you tried it too, right?
Did I have rhythm?
Yeah, I think you did better than me. I didn't do that well. I think you did better than me.
The rhythm wasn't there.
It was just awesome to see how just second nature it was. Over here we want some rice, we just go get rice, right? We're not used to having to go out and do the whole process. So it makes you appreciate things a lot more, especially knowing the history of the Carolina Gold rice.
Deon, did you see the cultivation of rice too? Did they grow it in Sierra Leone?
We did. On our different rides to different villages, we would see different things happening on the side of the road. It was a lot to take in, you know, it's a lot that I probably missed as well because I was so focused on trying to get shots. So I would love to go back, of course, and just take it in all over again.
Did they use the technique of covering the rice fields with water as was done here, or did they have, was it done in places where there wasn't a lot of water?
Miss Pat, or do y'all remember?
What, you talking the rice?
The rice cultivation, what kind of?
What they call it is hill rice.
Hill rice,
in this
okay.
country, yeah. It can be grown with the water or without the water. So once slavery is over, a lot of the people in this area grew rice on dry land.
Yeah, like you say, the island, didn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Hill rice.
I know some of it was like down, so you could tell how the water would come in, but it wasn't like the one we saw there, but you could tell that maybe at times, and I don't know how the ebb and the flow of the water there, it could have been there.
Yeah.
So,
What time of the year were you there?
So we went in December
December.
to January. I think it was December 28th to January 12th or 13th. So
What was the temperature like?
it was actually hot. Yeah, it was actually hot. Consistently hot. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I felt a breeze.
I think we were there in the summertime.
Oh, I know.
it
What
wasn't,
about the darkness when it
that
happened?
wasn't,
That the
That
room
was-
wasn't lit like we have light here?
Okay, so that's another thing Mother just brought up. So one thing that really had an effect on us was the darkness of the rooms when we were inside. You know, we're used to, well lit, every light on in the house, that type of stuff, but electricity isn't as accessible there in certain areas. So just when we're eating, those very dim lights, it's almost like kind of how the nightclubs have like the lounge lighting, the blue lights, the red, the pinks, the low. That's kind of how it was, anytime we ate inside at night. So there's a real reliance on natural light there, which as a photographer I could appreciate because it also was almost like a lesson in natural light to me and how natural light bounces around a room, how it lights certain things, certain objects, certain people. And that's one thing that really stood out to me, just the use of lighting and how it works. So yeah, that was a big one.
I bet the stars will be beautiful.
Oh yeah, I would get lost just looking up at the sky, just looking at the land, the nature. And me and my grandmother, we would kind of branch off from the group and kind of go do our own thing and talk to people and just take everything in. So I got to explore that aspect more at nighttime. Yeah.
Did you show a picture of the albino?
I don't think I couldn't find it to put it in, but there was an albino child in the village. He's the only one, and he was kind of, off to himself doing his own thing. But that picture, I have to find a way for you all to see it. It's a really nice shot.
What I liked about it was that he was so different,
Right.
but no one seemed to care.
Right.
So the
Right.
inclusivity that we have in this country now, where you can always move into our neighborhoods, we'll accept you, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, he was just so different.
Right. I mean,
Blonde eyelashes, the whole
yeah.
kit and caboodle, and no one seemed to care.
Yeah. It's very different here. Very different.
Did you, I'm sorry.
so, with the landscape, we're used to pine trees and so forth, but when you were talking about the lighting, it occurred to me, so did they have tall trees and shading and
Oh yeah.
you have to move around to?
Yeah, there were certain spots that are more lit, and then there are other spots during the day where it can be, dark because the trees are so tall. So that's what I was saying. Like when I first got there, it was like am I in paradise? Because the trees are just so tall and so large. There's some other shots where the roots of the trees were just stretch out and curve and go this way and go that way. And it's like things you never see over here. Or if you do, you might, if you're like traveling in the low country, you might see something and you're like, oh, okay. But seeing that in abundance, it was game changing. It's like, wow, this is some huge trees. And just how they can completely block out the light in some areas. And which for me, that would change how I had to do my photography. So like I say, it was a lesson in natural light that I didn't even know I signed up for. But it was cool.
Did you show any of the Bunce Island trees? That tree, the Bunce Island?
I didn't because, so what I didn't mention is when I got back to the States, I did have a hard drive failure. So I lost a lot of pictures, unfortunately. So a lot of my Bunce Island pictures were lost. So I didn't get to show that. That might have to be like a separate presentation because so much, there's so much there, so much, context and what we all were going through. But thank you, that's a good idea. Yeah.
We just go back.
That's what I was
Yeah,
saying,
we
the
go back.
opportunity for a second trip.
Yeah.
We go back. So,
You talked about the brightness of the clothing, and it is extraordinary.
yes.
Did the ladies in the group pick up some extra clothes, and did you?
Oh, yeah, they did some shopping. They did some shopping. Yeah.
Big suitcase.
Yeah, getting back on the airplane was a challenge because everybody had so much stuff. Yeah, I got a few shirts myself, so.
Yeah, quite beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Did you see school children? Did you get to go to school?
We did. What was the name of the village?
We were in the village Andala.
Yes.
They had all the kids,
Yep.
and they were standing in like 110 degrees for like an hour while they waited for us to parade through.
Right.
And they did not move, flinch, grimace, or anything.
No.
110, am I exaggerating?
No. Just the discipline.
Uniform.
Yeah.
Not sweating.
Standing up straight.
Yep. Just good manners, respect, discipline.
In line,
Yep. Quiet.
mannerable.
And those were some of the images that I lost in that particular village. But we are working to try to recover those. And I would love to recover those.
The dinner with the mayor, our governor.
Those are in there too. There's a lot that happened during the trip that I couldn't put all in this because it would be 4 hours. But maybe I can do some continuation. Yeah.
I think what's so good, you looking at those babies were so content.
Yeah, right.
Nobody was upset.
You're right.
Right.
No crying babies.
No crying faces.
Relaxed.
And I think you did a good job of showing that in your pictures.
Yes,
Oh, thank you.
beautiful colors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
Awesome.
Now, you had mentioned that you were the wealthy American,
Yeah.
and with the entrepreneurial Sierra Leoneans. How did that work out? Did you have to pay for a lot of things, like
So-
to take people's photos? Did they?
So I didn't. They were happy to get the picture taken. I couldn't take enough. They're happy, but for their different things they made, the different things they had to sell, the snacks, that we definitely paid. And one thing that I learned, I made a mistake. I started giving some money away, and what I learned is you have to be careful because they're not used to having that much at one time. So to you it's just $2, and you give it to a little boy. But then the other kids see it, and they're like, wait a minute. So it became, I learned very fast. Okay, you can't do that because it creates conflict, because they're just not used to having, we were, very rich, with American money. So we had to be careful. So that's one thing. On the job training, you had to learn. Same thing with the candy, you had to be careful how you gave the candy stuff. Yeah, we got a lot of stories about the candy. But somehow, like I told you, how they were climbing onto me. Well, the candy went through 3 other people before it got to me. So I guess they plotted it out to give me the candy, so the kids would all jump on me. So,
That was wise.
Yeah. That's the backstory to that. So,
God asked us as a library director, did you see a library while you were there?
did y'all see?
We went to the museum.
We did. The museum. We did. They had a lot of artifacts and a lot of cool things in the museum. See, I'm glad y'all here. It's stuff that, it's so much that happened. Stuff that I forgot. So that was cool.
Takes a community to tell about a good trip.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and there was a lot of us. So yeah, it was cool. But thank you all. You have been an amazing audience. Thank you so much.
I think we can have you back a few more times for this, explore all these other angles. But thank you so much, Deon DK Turner.
Thank you,
Wonderful
Dr.
job.
Turner. Thank you.